Today we're going to talk about a tool that started out by solving one of the biggest headaches in coding, and now it's putting itself right at the center of the AI revolution. So let's break down the story of CodeSandbox.
Oh, you know this feeling, right? If you've ever tried to code, you've been there. You're wrestling with dependencies, configuring environments, doing all this work before you've even written a single line of your own code. It's a universal nightmare, and that is the exact problem CodeSandbox was created to solve.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll cover the core idea. Then, we'll see what's actually in its toolbox. After that, we dive into the really exciting part, its massive pivot to AI. We'll also do a quick reality check on its limitations. And finally, look at what all this means for the future of building things.
So what was that big idea? Well, it really all comes down to one thing: getting rid of friction.
To really get CodeSandbox, you first got to know what an IDE is. Just think of it like a programmer's workshop. It's got everything you need to write, test, and fix your code all in one spot. And usually, this is some big piece of software you have to install and mess with on your own computer.
And this is the magic trick. CodeSandbox takes that entire workshop and just sticks it in your web browser. No installs, no setup. Seriously, you can go from just an idea to a fully working development environment in seconds. That right there was the game changer.
Okay, so you have an instant workshop in your browser. Awesome. But what tools are actually inside? What can you do with this thing? Let's take a look.
Well, instead of ever starting from scratch, you just pick a template. This means all the basic code, all the dependencies for whatever you're trying to build, it's just there. It's ready to go.
And the options are huge. It doesn't matter if you're working with a front-end framework like React, some back-end tech like Node or Python, or even if you're messing with Docker and AI, there's a starting point just waiting for you. It pretty much covers the whole modern development landscape.
And you know, it's not just for working by yourself either. CodeSandbox was built for teams. You can actually code together in real time, kind of like a Google Doc, and it plugs right into GitHub. So your whole workflow from coding to deployment is just seamless.
All right, now for what I think is the most exciting part of this whole story. Because while CodeSandbox was perfecting the Cloud IDE for developers, its ambitions got a whole lot bigger. It is making a massive pivot straight into artificial intelligence. This is the headline that changes everything. CodeSandbox was recently acquired by Together AI, which is a huge player in the open-source generative AI space. This isn't just, a new feature update. This is a complete change in the company's entire mission. And you can see their new mission right here in their own words. They're taking their core technology and packaging it into a new tool, an SDK that's built specifically to help AI applications understand and run code.
Right. Code interpretation for generative AI sounds really complicated. So what are we actually talking about here? What does this let an AI do?
Well, it boils down to three key things. First, it gives AI agents a safe, isolated little playground, a sandbox to run code in. Second, it lets an AI model safely run code written by a user without creating security risks. And third, it uses this tech to create millions of these dev environments on demand. Basically, they're providing the safe, scalable engine that AI needs to actually do stuff in the world.
This timeline really puts their whole journey into perspective. I mean, they started back in 2017 as a simple tool for web developers. It grew up into a mature cloud IDE for teams. But now, its future is something way bigger, becoming a foundational piece of infrastructure for the entire AI ecosystem.
But of course, no tool is perfect for every single job. So to get the full picture, we've got to talk about the trade-offs of using a cloud-based environment like this.
The choice really comes down to what you need. A cloud IDE like CodeSandbox is just unbeatable for getting started instantly, accessing your work from any machine, and for collaboration. The downside? For really heavy-duty tasks, it can be slower, and obviously you need an internet connection. On the other hand, a native IDE that you install yourself gives you all the power in the world and works offline, but you're right back to dealing with those complicated setups, and you're tied to one machine.
Okay, so let's pull this all together and look at the big picture. Where is all of this heading?
First, you just have to appreciate the scale here. We're talking about a platform that's already supporting over 10 million users. This is a massive, battle-tested piece of infrastructure.
So, the most crucial thing to understand is this transformation. What started as a handy tool for a single developer is now being turned into a core building block for AI. It's kind of like if the company that made the world's best hammers and saws suddenly started providing the steel beams for entire skyscrapers. It's a whole different ballgame.
This quote from them really gets to the technical heart of it all. This ability to create millions of safe, fast, and temporary little computing environments on the fly, that's the key that unlocks their whole AI future.
And that kind of leaves us with this final thought. For decades, the development environment itself was the first big hurdle you had to jump over. Now it's becoming instant, and with AI, it's even becoming intelligent. So when that barrier to just getting started isn't just lowered but completely erased, what new ideas and new applications are we going to see? What will you build next?